We're following the latest developments out of the Middle East right now. The newly brokered ceasefire.
Trump, quote, Israel and Iran, quote, don't know what the fuck they're doing. Man, we are so back.
Between Israel and Iran
Yep.
appearing to grow more fragile after both sides launched attacks that threatened to sink the deal just hours into it. Those moves leading to a furious rebuke by President Trump. Listen.
He pissed.
We basically have two countries that have been fighting so long and so hard that they don't know what the they're doing. Do you understand that?
Why do they bleep this shit out? Like, who is this for? Who are you bleeping it out for? Like, who gets offended by that? Well, like, in my opinion, I think if you're the kind of person that complains and gets offended by profanity, like that's like a core Karen belief. We need to just stop paying attention to them. Next time you hear somebody complain about that, just say, bitch, shut the fuck up. Unless you're at work. Then, like, quietly undermine their efforts at work until they get fired. But, otherwise, bitch, shut the fuck up. The FCC.
All right, joining us now, retired U.S. Army General David Petraeus. He was also director of the CIA and commander of the U.S. Military Central Command, which oversees the Middle East region. General, thanks so much for joining us. Let me get your immediate reaction to what we heard from the president this morning.
Well, President Trump is obviously trying to reinforce the ceasefire that he essentially declared.
Yep.
I'm not sure that either of the countries completely agreed with it when it was made, but
you know what? I bet he's right. I do. I bet he's right.
Iran seemingly accepting this. They, of course, were engaged through the and then we engaged directly with the Israelis and Prime Minister Netanyahu, who had previously said that Israel was very close to achieving its objectives.
Manifested the ceasefire? Yeah. I could easily imagine Trump saying, would you be open to a ceasefire agreement? And then them saying, maybe. And then talking to one, would you be open to it? Maybe. Okay, all right. Yep, guys, they just agreed to both of it, and there it is. Yeah, that's probably exactly what he did. Fake it till you make it.
Appears to have accepted it as well. Yes, there was that exchange. The Iranians in particular launched 5 volleys of rockets, which killed at least 4 Israelis. They responded to that. But I think that now that this is a bit more solid, and we'll see how it goes during the course of today, where you could see perhaps some further attacks on U.S. bases by Shia militia supported by Iran there, as we saw over the course of the last 24 hours.
That's the thing they got to stop, bro. They got to stop. The thing is, like, you got a bunch of these clowns going around and attacking people on behalf of Iran. That's Iran attacking people. Like, just because you pay somebody else to do it doesn't mean you're not doing it.
But with no American casualties.
Really, what the fuck?
General Petraeus, how long do you think this ceasefire can actually last?
Well, I think that the Iranians probably would be happy to be able to catch their breath.
Yeah.
To see what they have left. You know, one of the big questions out of this, in fact, priority intelligence requirement number 1, or at least after, are there any further
3 bottle rockets, a smoke bomb, and 1 military commander left? Not so good.
Further threats to U.S. facilities, personnel, and so forth in the region?
Oh, and they might have some enriched uranium.
Is there any highly enriched uranium left? And are there any of these centrifuges left as well? That's a big question. Did we really penetrate down into those spaces? I think the Massive Ordnance Penetrator is an incredible weapon system. We reportedly dropped 12 of them on the Fordo site alone, the deeply buried site.
Yep.
But we really need to figure out, does Iran have anything left? That would be very, very important, especially if they were able to cart it away clandestinely and might be able to reestablish some enrichment capacity and take what was already highly enriched uranium, 60%, the next turn of the enrichment process to over 90% for weapons grade.
General
Petraeus,
I have to say that I love this line of thinking that they don't immediately know the answer to this question. As if they don't know whether they're doing that or not.
Yes, I want to play what the president said this morning when he was asked about Iran's nuclear facilities. Listen to this.
What do you say?
Iran will never rebuild its nuclear. From there? Absolutely not. That place is under rock. That place is demolished. The B-2 pilots did their job. They did it better than anybody could even imagine. They hit late in the evening. It was dark with no moon, and they hit that target with every one of those things, and that place is gone.
It's appalling when they play
Can
stupid.
we definitively say, General Petraeus, that these facilities have been completely destroyed, completely gone?
Well, first of all, there's a very, very impressive U.S. operation following on very impressive Israeli.
Well, how the fuck would he know that? He's not. He's retired. How would he possibly know that?
Operations. Of course, by the end, the Israelis were flying free. They had destroyed all the strategic air and ballistic missile defenses that Iran had. That said, I think the president probably is correct that the damage to Fordo means that what they would do if they need to rebuild the program is do it somewhere else. And there have actually been rumors at various times that there is another deeply buried site somewhere out there. And again, I'm sure that intelligence officials are working very, very hard to confirm or deny that. So again, Fordo, I'm sure the damage is so very substantial that it would be unwise to rebuild that particular facility, and also probably structurally unsound. But if there is HEU somewhere else, highly enriched uranium, and if some centrifuges were moved before these strikes on the different facilities, that's another matter. And that, again, will be a very key intelligence question that has to be determined in the days and weeks that come.
In an official statement, Israel says it has accomplished its goals in Iran ahead of this ceasefire deal. How does this square with the possibility that Iran could still have enriched uranium?
Well, I'm sure that the Israelis are ready to go after that if that is the case. I'm not sure all of us get quite how significant 10-7 was, and this change in the strategic mindset of the Israelis, that they will not allow a threat to be established, not just in their neighbors, in their neighborhood with Hezbollah.
Wouldn't we have been surveilling Fordow for weeks to see if they moved anything? No, guys. What you don't understand is that you see the intelligence agencies that were able to figure out what apartment building different leadership in the Iranian government were living in, and when they were in that apartment building, you have to understand that they were so busy looking at that they weren't able to find the publicly available satellite photos of trucks leaving the Fordow site. And all of the intelligence agencies missed out on this. They didn't notice that. And luckily there was like a user on Twitter with an anime profile picture that was like, oh, you missed one. Maybe they moved the bombs. They say, oh, shit. Oh, my God. Oh, fuck. Wait, we didn't know this. Oh, my God. Yeah, let's see here. And is that you can't change any of this? Watch news being a doomer is disappointing. What is this here? You're just complaining about what is this? You're complaining that I'm not playing WoW. Okay, well, you can go watch somebody that plays WoW. I'm gonna ban you. Yeah, I don't know how you still have any. I don't know how we have any of those people left. Honestly, I would assume they'd all be on Social Security now. But yeah, people are literally incompetent like that at all levels. I mean, there's a certain level of stupidity though that that's probably not the case, right? If you had to guess, right? Would you bet on that? No. And anybody who's playing devil's advocate with this stuff, you would never actually bet on this. You're just playing devil's advocate in order to argue. Like if you were a gambling man, nobody would gamble on that outcome.
Lebanon or Hamas or the others, but they will not allow a threat to be established in the region if it is one that can actually threaten their security, as Iran's capabilities clearly had done.
I want to get your reaction, General Petraeus, to something the former U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken said about how the Biden administration war-gamed a potential military conflict with Iran. I'm quoting now. In that scenario, the Iranian regime could hide its near weapons-grade material, green-light weaponization, and sprint toward a bomb.
So they already had this shit planned out.
Mr. Trump's strike has risked precipitating what we want to prevent. How big of a risk is that? What do you
So stopping them from making a bomb is going to make them make a bomb? What the fuck?
think, General Petraeus?
What?
Well, I don't think you can dismiss the risk, as I have obviously described. And again, that's why the intelligence authorities have to pursue this. But the damage overall to the entire nuclear enterprise, two dozen or so nuclear scientists, the facilities in which they did their work, all of the different enrichment sites and storage sites. Again, the damage done by the combination of Israeli and U.S. strikes is very, very substantial.
Even he's saying
and I think it will be very difficult, unless there is some other site out there, and that's never been confirmed, to which they took some of the highly enriched uranium and some of the centrifuges. That would be the worst case, and that clearly, again, is the question of the day.
In another important development today, General Petraeus, the president is on his way right now to the NATO summit in the Netherlands. He says he'd like to see a deal with Russia ahead of that summit, and we're now learning he plans to meet with the Ukrainian president.
CNN saying we didn't destroy the sites. Iran argued about nuclear enrichment being necessary for medical advancement, then compared it to having oil and being unable to sell it. Yeah, I don't know. What risk? What facility? This is Israeli propaganda? Really? I feel like it's Iranian propaganda, if anything. They're trying to act like this shit didn't happen.
Volodymyr Zelensky on the sidelines of the NATO summit. Could the momentum from this recent ceasefire help facilitate a deal?
Only if the U.S. and all the other European countries that are members of NATO would do so much more for Ukraine that they could change the dynamic on the battlefield and finally convince President Putin that he cannot achieve further objectives at acceptable cost. And he's been willing to take enormous cost, as you know, assessing about a million wounded and killed over the course of this latest war, and 500,000 of those unable to return to the front lines because they were killed or so seriously wounded.
General David Petraeus, as usual, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks, Wolf.
Right now across the United States, hospitals, dams, and power plants.
Yeah, so that's it. I mean, it's pretty fucking obvious that that they set them back a while. I mean, if they keep trying to make a nuclear bomb, obviously they're going to be able to do it eventually. But that's the reason why you have, like, it's not like we can't use the B-2 bombers again. You know, they can just do it again. So there's no reason or worry about this. It's not a big deal. So you just got to do it again if that's what happens.